Hello. New week, new podcast. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Justice League Fantasy Football Podcast. So, what's new this week? Football is back, both European and NFL. European is fully back, though. NFL is just starting their preseason. Do we have any Justice League news to start out with? Nada, not really. Nothing new has really changed. No new team names, which I wouldn't expect. I mean, we're not drafting until I think we changed since the last podcast. I think we have changed the draft date. It is now September 4th instead of the 28th, and it's going to be at 7:45 p.m. Actually, I have not changed it. It's still technically Saturday, August 28th. But let me edit that real quick. Make it September 4th. Hopefully, y'all will be able to make that. If not, please send something in the group chat so I know. Alrighty? We're going to make it 90 seconds per pick rather than a minute 20 or 120. I hope that's not that bad. Last year, I swear we had no time. I'm pretty sure last year we only did like 45 or something like that. Like, it was not a long, you didn't have much time to pick. And, I thought that was going to be good. But honestly, I didn't like it that much. I was not a big fan. I would have rather had a little bit more time to make my picks. Yeah, we only had 60 seconds per pick, so I'm going to give us 90 seconds, give us 30 more extra seconds. I think that'll help, because, 60 seconds, you were really rushed. Like, if you weren't looking at the screen when it was your turn to make a pick, you were basically donezo. Like, so we're going to change that, make it 90 seconds, and make the draft on September the 4th. League home. Okay, it's gone away, but it should be on September 4th. As I said, please let me know. Other league news. No, I want to get out of the 2020 office. Bring me back to 2021 office. League home. 2021. Okay, here we go. September 4th at 7:45. Also, if 7:45 doesn't work, Matthew or Luke, if that time doesn't work for your time zone, please speak up. Let me know. We want everyone there. We want people in a Zoom. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Okay, going back. Okay, never mind. Someone literally has just updated their team name. We went from... Oh, Zach stole my... I knew he was going to like it. I liked it a lot, too. I saw it on TikTok. I thought it was hilarious. I liked it a lot. So I'm guessing this is exactly what happened to Zach. I wasn't going to use this, but I really like the team name. So to prevent any more suspense, he changed his name from Big HR Guy, which is, he was Notre Dame burnt popcorn, but then he changed it to Big HR Guy to start this season. But he's made another name change to I Chase Young Kids. So it's a play on Chase Young, and it's supposed to be, funny, because he chases young kids. So Zach is now I Chase Young Kids. Appreciate the humor. I was kind of hoping I could have that one. Maybe, I don't think I would have used it, but I definitely wanted that option. But now that that option's gone, I guess I'm going to have to live on with it. Okay. So the other team news that I just wanted to quickly mention was Justin has been fully deleted from the league. So it's an end of an era. A man who's been here for 4 seasons now, I believe. And we appreciated his tenure, except for the fact that it kind of started lacking at the end. 2019-2020 did not have much action from Justin. There was not much. He wasn't doing much in the league. Wasn't really setting his lineup, which is fine. Oh, I guess 2018 he didn't do much either. He only had 2 wins in 2018. The last time, which I guess is an regular season, when he went 8-4. That was the last time that he actually did something in the league. So he's gone. Aiden is back in the league. And let's just hope he changes his name, because currently his team name is Team the J-Man Show. It would be kind of funny if he kept it like that, but I think he should change it. Something unique to him, if you know what I mean. So that is the update for the league. Did I already say this? Football is back. We've got football back. NFL football is back. And European football is back. But European football is going to be back full swing, real games. NFL football, so far it's just preseason. Alrighty, so let's get into the podcast. Alright, so this week, I don't think I'm going to go over much news, because there's actually a decent amount that I've, can talk about. I mean, with football being back, let's just start there. Let's start there. So it was the NFL Hall of Fame game, played by the Cowboys and the Steelers. Now, obviously, there's not going to be that much to talk about since I can't spit out my words. Since excuse me, jeez, oh man, why can't I think of, since the starters aren't playing. Thank you, jeez, Johnny Reader, you need to be more prepared, buddy. Okay, starters weren't playing, but there was a couple. Maybe not even that many, but just a couple things that I wanted to point out, including Najee Harris's performance. He had 7 carries for a total of 22 yards, an average of 3.1 yards. Not bad, but like I said, because the starters aren't playing, and you're playing the Cowboys, shouldn't you be running all over these guys? I mean, the Cowboys' defense isn't good. We know that. And then you're Najee Harris. You're playing on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who traditionally have a fantastic run game. And you're only going 22 yards off 7 carries? What's going on? What's going on there? Not that that's going to make me not want to draft him. I mean, he's still got plenty of preseason games to go. But if his preseason doesn't improve, I'm not going to lie. Like, if he doesn't have obviously they didn't want to keep him in the whole game to make sure he didn't get injured, and they just wanted to get a couple snaps. But still, like I said, Cowboys defense, not even their starters, and you're only getting 22 yards. You're making me think, man. You're making me think. That's all I'm saying. So, Najee Harris, your draft stock is dipping. It's dipping in my head. Is there anything to be noted from the Cowboys? Not really. We didn't see anyone. We didn't see, CeeDee Lamb. We didn't see Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper's still technically injured, but they're working him back. Starting QB wasn't there. Dak. My boy Zeke, who I'm pretty sure I'm going to... I mean, it depends on how our league drafts, but I think Zeke might be falling to me in the draft. Which I'll take. But it'll be, again, like I said, it depends on how our league drafts this year. So we'll see if I do end up capturing that guy. So again, not much to talk about since it's just been this first game. 3-16, Steelers won. Really doesn't mean that much because, again, it's preseason. Steelers' next game is going to be Thursday, August 12th. Cowboys' next game is Friday, August 13th. A lot of Friday games. A lot of good TV coming up. I'm excited about it. The Lions have the Steelers in preseason. That's neat. And the Lions have the Bills, too, which I think is good. Obviously, they're probably not going to start anyone serious, but whatever. All right. And then week 1 is September 9th, so we're drafting on the 4th, so it'll be 5 days. I think this will probably be one of the latest that we've ever drafted. Only 5 days before the start of the season. It'll be good, because last year we drafted, just too early. Someone ended up getting injured. I believe, one of the big players ended up getting injured on someone's team. I think, Christian McCaffrey. But, no, Christian McCaffrey played a couple games. Who was it? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But it happened, and it was kind of a bummer. So, That's not exactly why we're doing it the 4th. It just has to do with who's going to be able to get on a Zoom call, and I might not be able to get on a Zoom call on the 28th, so I'd have liked to be there in the Zoom call and be there in person with my other buddies. So I wouldn't have been able to. Alrighty, moving on. Just saw this on TikTok real quick. Wanted to point it out. Justin Jefferson might be injured, is what the people are saying, which actually definitely concerns my draft a little bit. He is injured. Still a little speculation. Fox News report title says Justin Jefferson suffers apparent shoulder injury at Vikings training camp. And then the next article is Fantasy Pros, when will Justin Jefferson return from injury? Suffers AC sprain in practice on August 6th. Excuse me. He survived quite a scary injury. Left the field clutching his shoulder. Second-year pro, blah, 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 blah. Nothing else exciting. So the reason I say this affects my fantasy draft is because at 10th overall, Jefferson and Adam Thielen both pop up. There's an opportunity to get both of them at certain points in the draft for me. And genuinely, I was even thinking of taking Kirk Cousins super late, just because I think his numbers are going to be good enough to, supplement. But I want a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. But anyways, I think it's important because one, I might not just draft Justin Jefferson anymore if he's going to be injured and miss a couple weeks, and especially if it's, it's tough. It's tough to get over an injury sometimes. He might be in and out of games, the entire season. So it just might not even be worth it to get him. And then two, Adam Thielen, it kind of spices up Adam Thielen for me. Because now, he's going to be the sole wide receiver at the Vikings. Their only passing option. So he might be vulnerable to a lot of yards, a lot of targets, a lot of touchdowns. So that's where I'm thinking about that. Obviously, a lot of time left before we have to draft and before I have to make that decision, and we could see if Justin Jefferson comes back and the status of his injury and all that. So I'm not panicking, but just something to keep an eye out for all you Justice Leaguers out there. Pay attention, in the draft, to where Justin Jefferson is, and if you think it's worth it to take him that early or that late. So yeah, just something to keep an eye on for all you Justice Leaguers out there. All right, so to go to a little bit with drafting and who to consider drafting and stuff like that for the upcoming league. Again, it's crazy early, but we got to talk about it. There's stuff to still be talked about. So on Part of My Take recently, they had Mike Tannenbaum, I think that was his name, come on the podcast, and he, they talked to him and they had a good time, but they were an interesting part was they were talking about contracts and salary cap and stuff like that. And so that kind of led into, they talked about the Rams because of how the Rams, structure their finances and stuff like that. And he was saying that he's not so high on the Rams. He was a little bit concerned with the Rams, and saying how crazy thin they are. They're wafer thin, I think he said, and they are at risk of injuries, their depth chart is non-existent, basically, is what he was claiming. And so that actually did kind of set some alarms off for me, because I did want to take wide receivers. I wanted to take some LA Rams wide receivers, because they're gonna have Stafford now, and the Rams are a big passing team, and their running backs out now, so that it's it all points to passing. But that did raise a little alarms, because what if, like, if a lineman gets injured, that's not good, and then Stafford's, kind of old, and he's had an injury history recently. So if, worst case scenario, a lineman gets injured, then Stafford gets nicked, then your wide receiver pick is, like, done. So, that's definitely worst case scenario. Won't necessarily happen. Um, but that was just something that got on my mind listening to that podcast. Is maybe I shouldn't be picking or looking for Los Angeles Rams wide receivers. Obviously, I don't really want to draft Darrell Henderson Jr. Someone else can take him. But I would definitely want Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods. And I still think I'm going to. Like, I definitely respect Mike Tannenbaum and his opinions because he was, a GM. He was part of the front offices for a long time, so I'm sure he knows what's up. But I just think, I think it'd still be a good pick. I don't think I'm going to jump ship. I'll probably stick with him. I don't think I'm going to get Robert Woods. I think Cooper Kupp is most likely to fall to me. Robert Woods, I'd have to go get him. I'd have to go get him out of place. But Cooper Kupp, he kind of usually falls in place for me. So, we'll see. All right. What else has happened this week? Excuse me. Oh, I finished not Guardians of the Galaxy, a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was funny. It was a good, cheeky little book. It was like 200 pages. Pretty easy read. It was fun and it was smooth flowing and it's like satirical and it's funny. It's goofy. Do I understand why it's as big as it is? No. I mean, maybe it's bigger in my mind, but I feel like it's a pretty big book. Like, lots of people talk about it. Lots of people love it. Maybe I need to continue on with the series and then I'll get it. But, it was good. But was it, I guess the reason a lot of people love it is because it's so easy to read. Like, it's just a 200. Anyone can read it, really. I mean, kids can read it. Might be a little tough for kids, but if you're over, like, 10, you could probably read it, understand it. Adults could read it and get something out of it. So I guess it's just very, like, widespread, like, really easy to read. I wouldn't bash on it at all. Like, I thought it was a great little fun book to read, so I definitely recommend it for any of you out there. Yeah. All right. All right. So we talk a lot about team names on this podcast, so I figured we could go through some of my team name ideas. I've got a list right here. So some of the team names on it are Sex Bomb, like from Scott Pilgrim. X-Force. I think X-Force would be pretty fun because that's from Deadpool 2, and I thought that was funny. The X-Force. This one right here, I don't like as much. I don't know why I thought it was so funny, but it's King Desmond and the Accelerators. I know it's from Portlandia, and I've like seen season 1 of that show, and it was like a good show. Wasn't great. I don't know why he included that, but apparently I thought it was funny. And then another one is from another show. These are all from shows, but Department of Homeland Obscurity. That one's kind of funnier in context too. It's in Parks and Rec, so it's not that funny in retrospect. But I probably won't name my team. I don't know. I'm not liking as many of these names as I thought I did. I wrote them down because I was like, these could be good options. But nowadays, I'm thinking, I don't know. And then we've got double winners and two peats. So double winners, I won the double. I won the fantasy football double. I won the Justice League and the Jennings Family League in 1 year, which was nutty. Two Pete would be because I'm, repeat. That's also from a show that's from the league, because he was the 2 Pete's and then he became 3 Pete's, and then he might have became the 4 Pete's, but it's because his name is Pete, so it doesn't really apply to me as well. And then honestly, I talked about I Chase Young Kids. I like that one a lot. But I'm gonna keep the ones that I really want to do. I'm gonna keep those under wraps, bro. I don't think I like one of these. The rest of my list. I think I'm keeping under wraps. I don't think I'm gonna tell you guys because I want it to be a surprise for when I finally choose my team name, my two team names for this year. So I'm gonna keep those under wraps. I'm not gonna reveal my secrets quite yet. But also, what I think, some notes from last year. These were a bunch of the fantasy players that I was like, I want to draft next year. If you get the chance, draft these guys. Is basically what this list is. And so I'll go through the list, and then you guys can like drop a comment. Let me know what you think of this list. But this would be, no, it's not like a team. It's not like, oh, I want this quarterback, these two running backs, these two wide receivers. It's just a list of players that I want. All right, starting off, we've got DK Metcalf. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get him. Like, none of my mock drafts, I got DK Metcalf. I don't even know where he lands in the draft. Like, I barely see him getting drafted, and that's just because like I draft my two players and then I switch off until round 3 and 4 comes around. So he must be gone in the rubble of round 2 and 3 somewhere. He's got to be in there somewhere or maybe after round 4. I don't know, but I definitely don't see him. I mean, it's got to be in between rounds 2 and 3 because, like I said, I don't see him. Like I would, I would take him as a reach like early. I would take him I would totally take him early in round 3 or round 4. But because I don't see him, I've got no chance at him. AJ Brown, same exact thing. Like I just don't see him. I don't know where he is in the draft. Like where does he go? I don't know. But he's never there when I want him, when I need him. So Metcalf and AJ Brown, I think that'd be an insane fantasy wide receiver duo, but there's no shot I get a chance at that. Derrick Henry, I don't have a chance at. I'd love to have him back on my team. I did see a TikTok where this guy was just like, he might not want to draft Derrick Henry, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't disagree with him. Like there's just something about it that like I don't know, I just wouldn't draft Derrick Henry this year. I mean, I guess his point was he thinks Derrick Henry peaked last year. And I do too. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. Like, there's no reason he can play again. I guess maybe he's a little old. He's like 29. Derrick Henry. Let's look up his age. He's 27, so he's probably still got 2 good years left in him. I don't see why not. He only joined the Tennessee Titans in 2016, so he's only been in the league like 5 seasons. And only the last 2 seasons is when he really popped off. So, I don't see why you wouldn't. I mean, you totally should draft Derrick Henry, but that's just my weird skeptical mind at work. T. Higgins, I could get T. Higgins. I definitely could. He opens up for me, in rounds 4 and 5, I think. But would I take him over Jamar Chase? Or what's his name? Yeah, it's Jamari Chase. I don't know. Because, I mean, like, maybe there's that chemistry between Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like, maybe they've got that. But T. Higgins has already kind of established himself as, like, a okay wide receiver in the NFL. And we don't know if Jamar Chase is going to be able to do that. So do I draft one of the other guys over the other? I don't know. I really don't. CMC, of course I want CMC. I mean, who wouldn't want CMC? I don't think I'm ever going to have the chance to get Christian McCaffrey on my team again, which is kind of sad. Because, I mean, I had him on my team for 1 year, and that was the 1 year that he was dookie. So it's kind of a bummer, because, I mean, I'm going to totally miss out on this football legend. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, how long has he been in the league? Like 3 seasons, maybe? Christian. So I really don't know if I'm going to have a chance. Yeah, he's only been in the league. Oh, he's been in the league 4 seasons. So, I mean, he's got probably another 5 years left. So, I mean, I'd have to be really bad 1 year, or he'd have to choke or something like that for me to get him back on my team. Alvin Kamara, definitely want Alvin Kamara on my team. especially with all like Jameis. I'm like part of my take. Like I'm not gonna rip on Jameis. Like he will. I think he will do fine. Like because he's just such a wild card. Like I mean, he'll throw a bunch of interceptions. I don't doubt, but he can still play make. So I'm sure that Saints offense is gonna be rowdy and they're gonna have lots of points. And I think Kamara is gonna get a lot of points with him. Chris Carson, I'm looking to get him. I know Aiden said he wants Chris Carson. I don't think that'd be a great pick for Aiden, though, to be honest with you. I think it's a good pick, but I don't think it'd be a good pick for where Aiden would have to get him. Because Aiden would have to get him late round 2, early round 3, and I think that's just a bit too early. And that's why he works so well for late round 3, early round 4. So if Aiden wants to get him that position, I'm not going to be mad because that's probably going to open up a good player for me to get because he'll be taking him a little bit early. But I'd like Chris Carson back on my team. I had him on my team, and he just didn't feel the potential that I saw in him. He did at the start of the season, but the rest of the season he was hindered by an injury that kept nagging him. Miles Sanders, I've got a chance at Miles Sanders too. I mean, he kind of opens up around the same time that Chris Carson does. My only worry is that the Eagles are trash. So if they can't get their offense rebooted, it might be a long season, but I'd take Miles Sanders 100%. So I really got to look out for that. The only reason I might not take him is because in my most recent drafts, I've not been drafting him. So it would just make me a little nervous. It would maybe throw me off and throw off the rest of my draft if I just pick this random player that I'd never been picking before. But I want Miles Sanders on my team. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be, good for another couple of years. So I really hope that I could get him. But again, like I said, Eagles offense, trash. Noah Fant, tight end on the Broncos. Their QB situation I don't think is figured out. But that's the perfect time to have a tight end. Because, QBs love to just check down on their tight end. Like, if they are having a rough game throwing it long or making complicated routes or whatever, just check it down to your tight end. Noah Fant is just this beast of a man, and he's a really good tight end. So, if he gets more targets this year, I think he'd be a great tight end to have on my team. So that's why I'm really not worried about taking a tight end too early, which brings me to my next guy, Darren Waller. I totally want Darren Waller on my team. Again, the only backtrack is the quarterback situation isn't quite figured out. I don't why isn't Marcus Mariota getting snaps? I feel like Marcus Mariota is a great quarterback. And I mean, maybe it's just he had one great game, but I'd love to see Marcus Mariota get more snaps in the league. I'd love to see him go to a team where he's going to be the starter, or at least the starter for a year. Like, they'd give him a chance, but the Raiders, they love Derek Carr, and I still think Derek Carr would be a perfectly fine quarterback for Darren Waller. So I definitely want Darren Waller again this year. But those two kind of conflict because no way I'm taking Darren Waller and Noah Fant on the same team. I could, but I just don't think it'd be worth it because I'd rather, if I'm going to draft Darren Waller, he's going to be my tight end. I'm not going to take another tight end. And then, you know what I mean? If I took Darren Waller and then I took Noah Fant at the end of the draft, I'd be like, well, what was the point of me taking Darren Waller? If I'm already going to have Noah Fant, who, for me personally, would be a tight end lock. I wouldn't change him, whatever. I wouldn't change him any week except for his bye week. So I'd just be like, well, why did I waste my pick on Darren Waller? But then you can be like, oh, well, you didn't waste your pick because you've got, Darren Waller you can play in your flex. But I'm looking to play a running back at my flex, most likely. I'm hoping to have a running back at my flex. All right, moving on. Cooper Kupp. I've talked about him a lot in this podcast, mainly because he opens up for me in my draft. He's right there. He's perfect. I think it's 5th round pick. I've got confidence in the Rams, aerial attack and Now that they've got Stafford, who's, an upgrade to Goff. Even the Goff was perfectly fine, but Stafford's just going to be all that much better. I think, as a Detroit man, you have to have faith that your former star player is going to go win a championship somewhere else, because that is exactly what happens. Not all the time, but just most notably, with, Scherzer and, what's his name? Jeez, oh man. Verlander. Jeez, can't believe I forgot Verlander's name. So, it happened with, and I think it happened with some Red Wings. I think it happened with a couple Pistons. So now, it's going to happen with the Lions. Like, Stafford's totally going to go win a championship somewhere. Maybe not this year, but maybe in a couple years. So, I don't know. All right, Cam Akers, we all know what happened there. Stephon Diggs, I'm really considering, how I said earlier on for my draft surgery, I want to go RB, wide receiver. I'm genuinely considering doing RB Diggs, RB. Because I think you could get two decent running backs in the third, fourth round, because my picks are back-to-back in 3 and 4. So if I had my, for example, my running backs my team started off as running back. Sorry, let me just come up with a name. Let's say Taylor. Let's say I get John Taylor, and then Diggs, and then who else opens up in round 3? Carson, and then Myles Gaskin. That would be a solid running back trio right there. I think that'd be a very solid running back trio. And I'd have Diggs to rely on. And then I could go out and get a good quarterback. If I did that strategy, low-key, I think I would probably pick a quarterback in round... I might take Mahomes. As ambitious as I might take Mahomes in round 5. Round 5 and round 6. So that's a strategy that I could employ. I don't know how successful that team would be, but I'd be pretty excited for that team. I'd be pretty excited if I had that team. I don't know if it'd perform that well, but I think it'd be very cool because I'd finally have Mahomes. I'd have a great wide receiver. I'd have a great running back core. So it'd just be a really exciting team to play with. And that's why I kind of like that. Nelson Aguilar, I wanted him, but now that he's on the Patriots, I don't really want. I just don't believe in the Cam, the Newton-sance, the Newton-sance, or the Cam. Well, yeah, the rebirth of Cam Newton. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he's completely washed, and it's sad, but that's just how I feel. I think he's totally washed. Right here, I've got any Bills wide receiver. So if I don't get Diggs, I'm looking to take, Beasley in the late round or Gabriel Davis or McKenzie. I think any of those wide receivers, because the Bills just love to pass. I think any of those wide receivers would be a decent option, especially in the late rounds. Michael Pittman, another wide receiver that I'd take late. Only problem now, though, is his starting quarterback's injured. So we have no clue who's going to start for the Colts. And it might be a mug. It might be some Muppet who's absolutely trash. So maybe Pittman wouldn't be the best option. But he is kind of a short, he does, cut routes and he does jet sweeps and stuff like that. So he could still be worth it to grab. But I don't know. I just don't know. I also put on this list any player that I had in my 2020 championship season. That's fair. Josh Allen. I don't think I'm going to get Josh Allen because if I was going to draft a quarterback in round 5, 6, it's got to be Mahomes. Otherwise, I'm waiting until 7 or 8 or 9 and 10. Because there's just, you just got to pick a quarterback that late. I don't think Danny Dimes is going to do it. I think, Ryan Tannehill, if he falls to me, I'm not that excited about the Titans passing offense. I know they've got A.J. Brown and Julio, but I would just want the receivers because of their big play ability. I just don't think the Titans pass enough to draft a quarterback. Tannehill's solid. I think he'd probably get you maybe 15 points per week, but that's not good enough when a bunch of other quarterbacks could probably get you 20 points per week on average. So that's a 5-point swing difference, and that could be big. That's the difference between 95 and 100. 90 and 95. I mean, it's important. 5 points is important in fantasy football. Chargers. I've got it listed as Chargers QB because I didn't know what his name was, but now I do. Justin Herbert. I'm definitely eyeing. I'm really want to get Justin Herbert. He's like my number one option. I probably shouldn't be saying that on this podcast where all my friends who are in the league are, listening, and that's the only people that are listening. But if you want to ruin my draft, draft Justin Herbert before me, I'll be very disappointed. But I would definitely be willing to trade. You're not going to trade rate me, though. I'm not going to give him up for, some players. Like, it would have to be a fair trade, but I'd like to have Justin Herbert on my team this year. Marquise Brown, I would take him. I would take him late. I think I discussed this, but I think the Ravens, they're going to figure it out. I just have too much confidence. Like, Lamar Jackson is a playmaker. John Harbaugh, he's not a bum like his brother Jim. They'll figure it out. They will. I genuinely think they'll figure it out, even though that's what everyone was saying last year. But I think they will. I mean, they will figure out the passing game eventually. And then on this, I've got maybe Najee Harris. I already talked about Najee Harris in this before. I think maybe in a couple other podcasts, but definitely I talk about him in this podcast today. Just am not that excited about him. I'm kind of excited, but I'm not that excited. He was dominant for Alabama. He's a great runner, and he's going on to the Steelers, who've traditionally had great running teams. But for some reason, I just kind of lost my high on him, and I guess you could attribute it to the preseason game, but that would be pretty harsh to attribute that to the preseason game. So, I just don't want to take him as early as he's projected, because I'd have to take him round 1 or 2, because he's projected, like 15th or something. So I'd have to go out of my way to go get him. And I just don't think it'd be worth it. Maybe if he has a good week 1, I draft him, or maybe reverse psychology. Maybe if he has a bad week 1, then I'd go get him because, bad week 1, his stock would be a little bit lower. Maybe I could get him for a better deal. Even though our league, we really don't do many trades. We really don't. Because it's just tough. I think it's just tough to do a trade. I don't know why, but it's just tough to value your player and, to make that risk of trading, a player away, because you really got to want the player that's coming in, and you really got to not care about the player that's leaving. For me, that's the main thing, because most of the time the players that people want off my team are the best players on my team, and I want to keep them. And then most people aren't willing to part with the best players on their team, but that's who I want off their team, is they're the best players. It's the only trades that really make sense are bench players for bench players. So, and we just don't do that. We usually just drop our bench players, and then, in 2 weeks, someone else picks them up. So, anyways, that's the list of fantasy players. I think, did I also talk about fantasy names? I think I did. So, yeah. There you have it. All right. This podcast might go over because a lot of stuff has happened since earlier this week. So first off, I want to give a big shout out to one of my most loyal subscribers, Matthew. He went and listened to all my podcast episodes and gave me some awesome comments. So the first thing I've got to address is my comments on the 2019 fantasy season. So the 2019 fantasy season, I have, as Matthew pointed out, bashed and also said it was a great season. And Matthew wants to point out the fact that he thinks it was a good season. And I think that's fair. I think it's a good season. I agree that it's a good season in the sense that it was very competitive. And you can point to it being competitive by the rankings or by the records. But I'd also point to the fact that it's maybe not as competitive as we think because no one. I guess the good thing is that everyone put up over 1,000 points, which is not common, I don't think. Yeah, like it's pretty hard to do it. To have everyone in the season league. I think it's only happened a couple times, but everyone put up over 1,000 points. Don't think everyone was playing necessarily. Like, I'm not sure if Justin was checking his lineup that often. I don't know if Alex was checking his lineup that often. But another thing I just want to point out, Matthew, is that of course you liked 2019 because you went to the championship. And what I want to point out as well, that I'm sure Matthew loved, but I also loved to see, to be honest, was the Revenge Tour. It was probably one of the coolest things that we've seen. Matthew likes to do it, though, I swear. Maybe it's just in my imagination, but I swear he's had like a bad start to the season, then he picks it up later in the season. But Matthew went on what we like to call our Revenge Tour. So Matthew didn't start the season well. Let me see. I mean, he got a bit unlucky for sure because he loses game 101 to 104, which is harsh. What else happens to him? Oh, yeah, and then he loses 118 to 125. So he gets robbed 97 to 100. He definitely gets robbed early in the season. Oh my God, he got smoked by Justin, 143 to 81. How did the heck did Justin score 140? That must have been the last, that was probably the last week that Justin checked his lineup. Okay, Justin's team was also insane. How the heck did he get this team? What the heck? He had, quarterback's not great, Matthew Stafford, but then this is running backs. Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook. Wide receivers are Mike Evans and Stephon Diggs. And then Chris Carson in flex. I mean, that's nuts. That is nutty. So, I guess hindsight is 2020, but what a great team. Okay, back to the Revenge Tour though. So Matthew doesn't start out that great, and his lowest point comes when he scores 54 points in week 9. From there on out though, Matthew starts his Revenge Tour. He goes back. He beats Aaron 118 to 93. He beats up on Luke 101 to 87. He smokes Connor 140 to 95. And then he finishes the season kind of weak, only scoring 58 points. And then he goes on an awesome playoff run to make it to the championship, which he would eventually lose. So, of course, Matthew's going to like 2019. He had a great story, and he had a great team, to be honest. But I just think from the perspective, from the overall, competitiveness of the league, it wasn't our, it was a good year, but it wasn't my favorite year. I mean, compare the numbers to last year. Last year we had tons of great numbers. High points per game across the board. Only one team finished under 1,000 points. And I mean, I thought it was pretty competitive. But I do want to amend. I don't want to call it a trash season. 2019 was not a trash season. It was a good season for sure. And so I just want to put that out there, make that clear, because I think I kind of walked back, or I was flip flopping a little bit on my stance on it. But I do want to say it's not a trash season. And Matthews likes the idea of deciding fifth team. So yeah, I just appreciate all the comments he dropped on my videos or on my podcasts. Any other big comments I want to get out of the way? I'm not sure. Let me look them over real quick. Oh yeah, the money. I think the money is a. I'm changing my idea. I think I do want to do money. But again, it's just kind of tough to get everyone to pay. But we can get everyone to pay, I'm sure. Uh, but yeah, it would be cool to do like different, like you win money for points, most points in the week. You win money as maybe like a regular season best record. Maybe you win money as like a division champ. Maybe you win money for like I like staying like maybe maybe like people in the loser slack off like Jim, don't get any money, but the Dwight Army of Champions, like they get some of their money back. People that make it into the Dwight Army Champions, like that. I think that could be cool. That could be fun. We could do like actual pay. Like that's a cool idea, and it definitely makes me a little bit excited for what it could do for like competition. So I'd be definitely interested in hashing that out on like on an Excel, like getting a little Justice League Excel spreadsheet going and figuring that out, because that would be fun. And if there's any random viewers out there that do anything like that, let me know like how much your league pays to play in, and how much you pay out for whatever you pay out. Um, so that was another comment that I wanted to address, because I thought that was a good comment. And then on my episode 3, he also had a good comment. Oh yeah, we were talking about in episode 3. We were talking about the like Mount Rushmore of fantasy seasons, and Alex, yeah, or excuse me, Matthew says Alex's 2016 season is goated. And I love 2016 Alex, no doubt, no doubt. First 11-2 team, probably the most dominant team we would have seen since my 11-2 team. But he also brings up the point of why we got to put more emphasis on the regular season, because the people that I mentioned, the teams that I mentioned, they didn't make, or they didn't win at all, and so they were kind of taken away from. And I guess my counterpoint to that would be that's true, but they pretty much all made the finals. Like 2017, Luke made the finals. 2018, Connor made the finals. 2015, Aiden made the finals. And I mean, like there's so many teams out there that had a great regular season, but they didn't win the Super Bowl, and they made it to the finals. Like last year's Chiefs, they had a fantastic season. They made it to the Super Bowl final, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. So, I mean, they will be forgotten. But that's not like, I don't think that's, unfair. If you win the championship, you should be remembered. But then it draws back to playoffs and stuff like that, and how we do the playoffs. So now, that we cut down on the playoffs, you have to be way more clutch in the regular season. So like the only 4 or 5 teams that make the playoffs are going to be the best 5 teams in the league. So in a way, but like at the same time, we might see, more top teams losing, because, it's going to be harder to make it through the playoffs into the championship game. Right? Maybe? Like, I guess, I mean, it's like, it's a double-edged sword. Like, the only, the best way to do it would be like the Premier League, where you win, points. You get points based on your wins. But, I don't know. I think I understand what you mean, and maybe that's, where also the money comes into play, and, you would feel a little bit more, justified, or you'd feel a little bit more respected if you won, the money, and you got the recognition for having the best regular season title. But at the end of the day, I mean, when there's a playoff scheme, who cares who had the best regular season title? It's the same thing for all playoffs. Like you make it to the playoffs to give yourself a chance to win the title. It's the same thing for like the March Madness tournament. You just have to be good enough to make the tournament. And if you can make the tournament, you give yourself a chance to go far. And that's really, like, you just got to give yourself the chance. And so like definitely letting 8 people into the league. That was giving a lot of people a chance, and it was, not that hard to give yourself a chance. So I think hopefully cutting down the number of teams that make the playoffs will be a little bit better. So yeah, so I just want to go over those comments. I appreciate those comments, Matthew. And then more stuff in the league happenings. We had a lot of activity. So I mean, the podcast must be popping off. People must be loving it, and I appreciate that. Because we got a lot of activity this week. We got a lot of good activity. So we will start with team name changes. We've got 2 more team name changes. One for Matthew and one for Tristan. Matthew's a pretty annual team name changer. Tristan, I think he's kept his name a couple years. Like sometimes, he'll keep his name. Sometimes he'll let it spill over and then maybe change the name, I think. But he's also a pretty annual team name changer. Okay, so we'll start off with Tristan. Tristan used to be CD's Nuts for CD Lamb. So CEEDEE and then Nuts. And he's changed his name to Cup My Nuts. Which I personally think is maybe a little bit funnier. Cup My Nuts. So like Cup as in Cooper Cup, KUPP, and then My Nuts. And then in parentheses is NIGG. So do with that what you will. It's also goofy, and his avatar is the Hulk. It's the same. And then Matthew has changed his name from Power Rankings #1 fan, which that was my favorite team name of all time, to Sigma JL Grindset Major Key. Or he's got 2 keys, so I don't know if it's Major Key or just 2 keys. Probably just normal. Take me back to 2021, please. League home season 2019. Give me 2021. So all right, so Sigma JL Grindset, and then I can't. Chase Criminals Sigma Key Chase Criminals dot for run. I just had my eyes dilated, so I can't really see it all that well. But I love the team name. It's great. What's his parentheses? His parentheses is his classic R. So yeah, another great team name change in the league. Not sure if I understand it that much though. All right, and then we got some comments. Woo, we got some more comments. All right, Matthew commented on the league. Can we get 120 seconds per draft selection back? I am going to use my executive power to say no to that. Of what? Do 90 seconds? Because 90 seconds should be enough. If you've done a mock draft, or maybe 2 mock drafts, you should be able to, know who's going to be where and who you want. That's my opinion. And 90 seconds should be enough time, even if you don't know. It's definitely going to feel a little bit fast, but, 90 seconds should be enough. Because it's still going to take a while. 90 seconds per person times 10 people in a round. That's 900 seconds in a round, which is 8 minutes per round or something like that. 90 times 10. Okay, it's divided by 60. 60. Okay, I was extremely far off. It's 15 minutes per round. So that's 15 minutes per round. So let's say you pick, 4th overall. Okay, maybe minus a grace period of 5 minutes. So 10 to 15 minutes per round. So if you pick, 4th overall, you're going to have, 10 minutes to, do your research or whatever. For example, if you're not going to, do any mock drafts or do any, at least, build up, you're still going to have about 10 minutes between rounds, especially because I feel like we're going to have a pretty active draft this year. I think we will. I hope we will. I think if we get under 7 people, I think it'd be a little bit of a shame. Like, I think if we got 7 people, that would be, great. I don't think we've had 7 people. I think it's usually, I don't want to say that. I feel like it's usually around 7. There's probably Alex. I doubt Alex is going to be there live. He's really the only one that I like truly doubt is going to be there. Matt Roscoe, he might not be there. So I mean, I'm expecting 8. I guess I'm expecting 8, but maybe give or take one more. If someone, ends up having plans that night and can't make it. Tristan's usually there. I'm sure Zach's going to be there. Connor's usually there. Hopefully Luke will be there this year. I know he wasn't there last year. Matthew, I'm sure, is going to be there. Aiden's said that he wants to be there, and I was going to text him, before the draft to, hey, don't forget to pop on. I'm sure Aaron's going to be there, and I'll be there. So, so my reasoning, and then going off of that though is like, let's say we do have 10 to 15 minutes. That's 16 rounds. So that's 240 minutes. So that's 4 hours. Obviously, that's the maximum. The minimum would be, 150. So it's between, what is it? 100. So it's between 160 and 240. So it's between 3 and 4 hours. So our draft would be 3 and 4 hours. If we did 2 minutes per pick, at maximum, our draft is going to be 400 minutes or something like that. I think that's how that worked out. Or no, maybe I'm stupid. Let's see, 120 times Dan. That's seconds divided by 60. Okay, so it's 20 minutes per round at max times 16 rounds. So it's 320 minutes per round. Just doing this all on Google Calculator. So that's 5 hours. So that would be a 5-hour draft. Obviously, not everyone's going to take the maximum 2 minutes per round, but like at maximum, it'd be a 5-hour draft. I think, 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes per pick would realistically come out to like a 3-hour draft. And I love fantasy football, don't get me wrong, but 3 hours of drafting is just a bit of a grind. It's a bit of a grind. So that's why I'm not so keen to do it. I think it'd be a little bit better if we did 90 seconds per pick. So that's why I'm going to veto that. I think we just got to do 90. So I appreciate, bro, what happened to the Aiden and Justin tag team? Come on. I mean, maybe I should have left it in there. I guess that would have been pretty funny if it was Aiden and Justin. We'd have to put the asterisk. Like if Aiden somehow won the league, we'd have to put the asterisk next to it. Be like, oh, it's Aiden and Justin. But I wanted to give it solo to Aiden. I guess it is a bit of a crime that Justin's leaving the league. He wasn't one of the original 6 though. So I don't feel as bad in that sense. But now we've literally got the entire original 6 back in the league. So we had the original 6. 2 got cut within the next 2 years. 1 came back, and then it took another 3 years for the other one to come back. So, but now we've got the whole original 6. Alex, Matthew, me, Aiden, Matt, and Aaron. So it's exciting. It's exciting times. We got the original 6 back in the league. But yeah, I do agree the Justin Aiden tag team was kind of funny. Why don't we do 6 playoff teams? 1 and 2 with a bye, 3 and 6, 4 and 5 play in. I was considering that for sure. But I just think it'd be a little more fun, a little bit more spicy if it was 5 teams. Because, I mean, even 6 teams, which I don't want to speak ahead already, but I just feel like it's a little too easy to make it into the top 6. Not see, I don't want to say that because I don't think it would be that easy. I mean, it's still like you're still just above the halfway. Like you'd still, the sixth person to make it in would be just over, the bottom half. But the reason I don't want to do 6 is just because mainly for the spice. Like I think it would just be all that much more spicy. It does kind of no, it doesn't really convolute the playoffs that much. I mean, week 1, 2, and 3 would have a bye, but I think the one play-in game, I don't know. There's just something spicy about it. Like to have the one playing game, like give team 4 and 5 one more shot to make their claim. Because I think the top 3 teams in the league definitely like have earned the right to be in the playoffs and have earned the right to to be in the semifinals. I think. I guess the other problem with that is like we really don't usually have like a distinct top 3 in the Justice League. Like last year was probably the most distinct top 3 that we had because we had like an 11-1, a 9-4, or 11-2, a 9-4. Gosh dang it! I should just keep the standings up at all times. What am I doing? Let's see, what was the other record? 21-1? No, get that out of there. Give me 2020. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the dead air. And then an 8-5. So that was like the most distinct like top 3 that we've had. But usually, I mean, we're usually really hovering around like a lot of teams at 7-6, 8-5. So it's maybe not as distinct. And I guess nah. I don't know. Okay, scratch all that. I don't know where I was going with that. I just think it's spicy. I think the top 3 definitely deserve it, and then I think it'd be a little bit more like maybe not a little bit more exciting, but I think it'd be a little bit spicy. How many times am I gonna say that? I think it'd be fun to have that 4 and 5, and then there's a bunch of good like scenarios of how we choose that 5th team or that 4th and 5th team, or because maybe. Yeah, well, that's my point, I guess, is like 1 through 4, or 1 through 3 definitely deserve it. Maybe, well, okay, I'll say this. 1 and 2 definitely deserve it. 3, very much deserving of it. 4 and 5 have earned it. Have, maybe not earned it, but they've earned it, but they've proved. Should I say earned it and proven it, or proven it and earned it? One of these combinations, but I'm just gonna say for now they've proved that they're good enough, but they still need to earn it with one more game. So I think that's like a cool like ultimatum. Like 4 and 5, you've proven that you're good enough, but you haven't earned it yet. You got to win this one more game to earn it. And then, like, that also opens up the possibility of, like, a cool, like, 3-game. Like, they win 3 fantasy games, playoff games in a row to take the championship and hold it. I think that'd be a cool scenario. And then also, like I said, like, we can, come up with fun ways to choose that 4th and 5th team. Or maybe just a 5th team. Having, like, a fantasy commission. Like, we get, like, everyone in the league to vote or something like that, or we get on a Zoom call and we hash it out, and people have to make their case to be that 5th team. Like maybe like someone brings up a funny case. I don't know, but that's why I'm gonna stick with 5-team playoff. And a 5-team playoff, maybe there's a snub, a big snub. Like player number 6 is also good or something like that. But at that point, you know what I mean? Like if you're like the 6th best in the league, well, that's where I guess this commission comes in. This fantasy commission comes in. Is we'll see it maybe we do it and we see how well it goes. And if there really is a big snub, then maybe we just expand it to 6, and then we do provide that outlet to have that 3 things. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely a possibility of 6, but I want to try. I want to kind of use this year, I guess, as an experiment, see how well a 5-team playoff goes. because I think it's fun. I think it's a fun idea, and I mean, it puts I think all the more emphasis on regular season record and having a better regular season record, making the regular season important, because you can't you really have to have a winning season to be in the top five. Like, you can't have a losing season, and I guess that's probably what I think that's what Matthews, maybe some of his problem was like losing season teams were making it into the playoff and then beating these winning season teams. So hopefully, I don't know, I think that will help resolve it. And so I appreciate your comment. I'm going to read your response to it right now. And then Aaron says, I second sixth team and longer draft time. I'm just beating a dead horse if I go over that again. So really exciting week. We had a lot of activity in the league. Still a long way away from draft day. We're literally 24 days. Like, we're 3 weeks. We're still 3 weeks away. It's nuts. I mean, Matthew also texted me, you're making me think about fantasy too much. And I'm definitely thinking about it way too much. Like, it's 3 weeks away. Are you kidding me? And I feel like it's tomorrow. I guess maybe, the NFL preseason makes it also seem like it's close. But it definitely feels, the way I'm talking about it, you'd think that we're drafting tomorrow and the season starts, on Sunday. But no, I mean, the season, we're not even the right month. I don't even think we're in the right season yet. No, does fall start September 22nd? I think so. June to July to August. Yeah, August to September. All right, so yeah, we're still in summer, but anyways, alrighty. Thank you for listening in. This has been the Justice League podcast. I was gonna try to come up with a catchy sign out, but I couldn't think of anything. I just blanked at the moment of truth. So episode went a little long today. Hopefully it was just as fun as the other episodes. But still, I guess there's still not that, there's nothing that pertinent to talk about, because like I've just said, fantasy draft is 3 weeks away. Get your votes in for the fantasy money. It seems to have worked, because literally, there was 2 votes to 1, now it's 3 votes to 2 about the fantasy money. But it seems like there's a majority that wants to do money. Please get your votes in still, though, because there's still only 5 votes, so we still have 5 people not voting. I'm expecting, 3 people to probably not vote, so I'm expecting 2 more votes. But it seems that people want to do money, and then obviously the greater than 25 has the plurality. So I think that's just how we're gonna have to do it, as plurality, because we're definitely not gonna get a majority. So I was supposed to wrap up the episode right there, but I didn't. All right. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening. Please leave some more comments or questions. If you want my opinion on anything, let me know. If you want me to talk about anything else in life, let me know. I can talk about that. And have a great week. I'll see you next week. I hope I can come up with another episode next week. Maybe I'll do a fantasy Premier League special, so maybe I'll do a fantasy Premier League special next week to give me something more to talk about. But I guess, a lot of preseason games are going to be happening, so maybe there's some good, fun stuff that'll come out. And I always love responding to part of my take, so I'm sure, if they have a couple football guys on this week, I can do some responses to them too. Why am I not ending the episode? I keep saying I'm gonna end it. I probably said bye 3 times now. So I'm officially gonna end it there. Thanks you guys for listening. See you next week. And don't go changing.